Welcome back to Tape Don't Lie, Cam Smith and Tim Doyle. And Tim, we are going to transition to another forward and focus in on Patrick Williams out of Florida State. Just 18 years old, played one season for Leonard Hamilton. But this is a guy, even though he was the fourth leading scorer on Florida State, has a lot of promise when you get into his highlights and you really break down his game.
Oh, he was a high impact player on a team that, unfortunately, we don't know how good they really were, because likely was going to be a number one seed, potentially going to win a national championship, and playing alongside Devin Vassell as well as Trent Forrest, he was still almost able to give you Patrick Williams nearly 10 points a game. And as one of the youngest guys in this entire draft, he's going to be 19 years old in August. The upside through the roof.
Okay, Tim, when you talk about Patrick Williams, defense comes to mind because you're not going to get on the floor on Leonard Hamilton's team if you're not playing defense. So Pat Williams understood that early on, and this is a play here where he covers ground to get that block. And poor Justin Pierce from North Carolina. Now, this kid's a leaper. He can get up pretty quickly, but Pat Williams covers ground so quickly and makes up for him being out of position to get this block.
Yeah, Justin Pierce is my neighbor in Glen Ellen, Illinois, all right? And I've actually beat him up playing horse during the pandemic, and I knew that was a bad sign for Roy Williams when I was beating one of his starters in horse, because I'm an old man with a dad bod. But as far as Pat Williams, great motor, can guard multiple positions. It just seems like he's everywhere on the floor. He's out on the wing, and that's really shown his youth, because older guys, play with a little bit more of like purpose as far as where to go. This kid seems to be everywhere on the defensive end, and that's why he got big time minutes as a freshman on a team that was competing for a title.
Yeah, and this is the favorite highlight of mine of Patrick Williams when you talk about defense. Now, he starts this play on the ball and does a great job of funneling that ball handler to the sideline, forces the guy to pick it up, but then watch Williams after that ball is thrown across the court. He's still in a stance. He locates that basketball and still gets the block. So that defensive IQ for a lot of NBA head coaches and a lot of GMs, some of that stuff you can't really teach. You got to have that instinctively, and Williams has that.
Right, well, who's the best two-way player in the NBA? There's no doubt about it. Who is it?
It has to be Kawhi Leonard.
Okay, Kawhi Leonard coming out of San Diego State, you're seeing a lot of like the features that Patrick Williams had, right? Kawhi Leonard, defensive stopper. First year in the NBA, Kawhi Leonard averaged around 8 points a game. His next 2 years in the NBA, right around 11. So we're talking about 3 years in the NBA. This guy hasn't broken through, but defensively, you knew what he was going to give you. That's what you're getting from Patrick Williams. And the fact that he's going to be 19 years old in August, if you're a GM, you got to have like the thinking emoji about just thinking about like, if we start evolving this offensive game. We saw what Kawhi Leonard could do, where he's averaging a career high this year with the LA Clippers. If this guy's offensive game comes along, look out.
That's a great point, Tim. When that offensive game evolves, look out. And we mentioned him being the fourth leading scorer for Florida State. When you're playing with older guys, you got to find different ways of scoring the basketball. Now, here he gets the block and starts to break for his team. But that speaks to his unselfishness, one, about how he's able to implement himself into the offense and find other ways to score. But also, too, it speaks to how he's able to be plugged into different spots and be successful. And I love this play here because he leads that break, head up. And how many times do we see guys over dribble on the break? Pass the ball ahead, move that ball up, put the pressure on the defense, and William does just that.
You see the athleticism, you see the already NBA body, and for a guy that's not even close to being 20 years old, you could see why scouts are a lock to make him a first-round pick and even a lottery pick.
All right, Tim, we saw some of his athleticism on the defensive side, but we're going to mix it up and get it on both ends. And this kid is 6'8". We talk about that NBA body that he has already, but this really helps him when it comes to attacking the rim. And what I love about this play, working against the zone, is that he finds his spots. Talk about finding different ways to score the basketball. Him on the backside of that zone gets a little creative when he gets that basketball and goes for the reverse dunk.
You know, this is a guy that you see kind of how raw he is from a youth standpoint. And when you see plays like that, it gives you hope that, I don't think he's going to be a high impact player in year one, but it gives you hope that, like, all right, he knows where to go on a court. You play with guys that are like they're like in the way and they don't know what to do. This guy's going to kind of find his niche early on. And then as his offensive game grows, then he's going to figure out, all right, am I going to be a 3-and-D guy? Am I going to be a slasher? Am I going to be a rim runner? I think he has all those things in his bag. But the biggest thing on this team was he found a way to fit in on a winning squad as a freshman. It's tough to do.
Yeah, it is. And we talked about the comparison of Kawhi Leonard and with Williams and his size. I want to know what his hand measurements are. So if I can get the hand emoji up and use that, I want to see what that measurement is in comparison to Kawhi Leonard, because where he catches this basketball, Williams does. We saw it on the backside of the zone. We saw it on the second highlight when he grabbed the rebound outside of his area. And then here on the tip dunk, you saw that as well. He does a phenomenal job of making sure that once that basketball is in those two hands, it's secure and he's going to dunk with power.
Yeah, that is a good point, right? The Kawhi Leonard has to probably get custom gloves made. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just roll into like a Marshalls and buy gloves if you're Kawhi Leonard. Like, that's got to be a real conundrum throughout his life when he's in cold weather. Maybe that's why he left Toronto. He was like, I got no more gloves. I'm going to go to the warm weather.
Good point. Good point, Tim. Good point. What do you like about this play here for Williams? Again, working against the backside of the zone.
You know, I know this about the ACC, and I played in the Big East and the Big Ten. The ACC has the most talented players every single year. No disrespect to those other two conferences, because in certain years, whether it's AI or Kerry Kittles or in the Big Ten, has had some outstanding players throughout the years, Big Dog Jimmy Jackson, to just name a few. I always felt that year in and year out, the most talented conference was the ACC. And you come in on a team that won an ACC regular season title, that was going to be a number one overall seed, that was going to compete for a national championship, and you were the ACC Freshman of the Year on that type of team. Normally, those guys are on the teams that stink because they get to score all the points. He was an impact player on a winning team. Love that about him.
Tim, let's finish off Patrick Williams with his scoring, that ability to, one, show his mid-range, but also extend his range from three. Now, he only shot 32% from the line this past season for Florida State. But you got to be honest with me, man. Those mechanics don't look bad. That release doesn't look bad. He just needs more reps to build more confidence to get that shot.
You know, when I watched his release, it reminded me a lot of Kawhi Leonard early on. Have you ever seen that breakdown tape where how he shoots his jumper now versus how he used to shoot it for the Spurs? And he used to put the ball pretty far back, and now it's a little more out in front of him. I would say a little bit more mechanical now, but when you get into those mechanics, now you get into that consistency, because you want that stroke to be the same every single time, right? And the further you go back, well, now the likelihood that stroke could be off side to side. But you're right. The fundamentals are there. I think once he gets in the lab, this is going to end up being his position, right, Cam? He's going to have to be a D&3 guy. Don't you agree?
Yeah, he has to be that, especially for a young guy coming off the bench. And as he grows and gets starter minutes, hopefully that's the plan, and have some kind of impact in the league offensively. That will be his role. But you talk about that NBA frame and being 6'8". This is where 6'8" comes into play, where he's able to get to his spots. And what I love about this play here is on that second dribble, that last pound, he knows where his spot is and gets right there and raises up above, a la like Kawhi Leonard. Now, I've never been a shooter, never in my career. But what I've seen my teammates do in preparation for their shots is to, one, get balance, get their eyes right at the rim, and make sure that they're holding that follow through. You remember the beef technique, right? Balance, eyes, elbows, follow through. That's what Patrick Williams is doing, and he does that on these pull-ups, and it's very beautiful and smooth.
No, I don't remember any of those, all right? Like Roy G. Biv. I never knew who Roy G. Biv was. And then that was something with the planets and all that. Like, I never understood any of that stuff. But they try to give me those acronyms. When I watch him and I think about playing with Vassell and playing with Forrest, like, we actually don't even really know. Leonard Hamilton might, as far as how skilled this guy may be. Because when you're playing with older guys, they're not just going to throw the freshman the ball. Like, it's almost like that movie She's All That. It was like the girl wasn't that pretty, but the reality was she just had some ugly glasses on. And when you take off the glasses, she ended up being a beautiful girl. When I see Patrick Williams, like, you see the body, yeah, the stats weren't really gaudy, but the upside, I'm giving him my prom king award. Crown him. Where's the emoji? Crown Patrick Williams right now.
Well, people, we know what Tim has been binge watching during his time down watching She's All That. But we are for certain that Patrick Williams will have a nice career in the NBA when he gets selected in the 2020 NBA draft.